Welcome to Mission Oriented, a veteran crowd podcast that showcases veteran talent from both the private and public sectors. Their impact is everywhere. We are here to uncover it. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Hey, welcome to the Mission Oriented podcast. This is your host, Bob Louthen. I'm pleased to have as my guest today a veteran of the Mission Oriented podcast, Derren Burrell. Derren is the founder and leader of Veteran Ventures Capital in Knoxville, Tennessee. He's a Citadel grad, grade class 1994, you youngster, 21 years in the Air Force, and now a venture capitalist. Derren, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me today.
Bob, great to be back. Appreciate you having me. And once again, just hats off to you and the network that you're helping really forge in this space. So happy to be a part of it, man.
Well, good. Well, I'm putting together these short podcasts over the next couple of weeks leading up to the MilVet Startup Conference in San Francisco. Looking forward to going out there. Tim Shea and the guys at Context Ventures put on what is, in my opinion, one of the very top echelon military veteran events. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Before we jump into that, tell everybody a little bit about what's going on at Veteran Ventures Capital now. And I got a couple of questions for you about what you're seeing since it's the first of the year.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, it's we're looking forward to 2024. We've had a very good year in 2023 when a lot of other firms, we're I'm not going to say it wasn't challenging. I'm happy to say that we weren't in fundraising mode, and so that was really challenging if you were doing that. And we deployed quite a bit of capital into several, I think 5 companies last year. So pretty happy about where they ended up and where we ended up. A lot of over half of our companies are increasing in value, where a lot of you, as you well aware in this environment over the last several years, most of the venture-backed companies are taking down rounds and having trouble raising. But our firms have stood firm, and we love our model, love our team, and love the companies that we're invested with. So it's been a good year, but we're really excited about 2024. We think it's going to be a lot better, and I can kind of go into what the world according to
first,
Derren looks like.
what's the profile of a company that you would typically invest in, size, industry, and geography?
Well, geography, as long as it's a U.S. based company, we're pretty much geography agnostic. And so most of your listeners know that we are a veteran-owned investment firm that invests in veteran-owned businesses in that national security and defense space. Pretty large, as you know. The budget that is being floated around for DoD is $840 plus billion for 2024. So you can be diversified, but we invest in the national security arena writ large, with a veteran on the cap table and in the C-suite. And then within that area, space, autonomy, quantum, C5ISR, AI, and material science. So those are the 6 buckets that we invest in. And then within that, companies, we don't do really early pre-revenue type of companies. It's generally speaking Series A-ish. They got about $1 million or so in revenue and are looking to scale up and grow mainly within their governmental, contracting, procurement, non-dilutive areas, because we've invested, over the course of the last several years, about 14 million or so into 15 companies. But each one of those companies has garnered over 118 million in non-dilutive funding. So it's a pretty powerful opportunity to kind of leverage our networks in the DoD. What we did active duty, we now do as part of the VVC methodology. And so, if you want to go from 1 million in revenue to 10 million in revenue, and you fit one of those 6 areas, and you meet the qualifications, that's what we do. We love to, we're not passive capital at all. We're pretty active. We get engaged, and like to say that we give our founders as much help as they can stand. So, yeah.
We've got coming up on February the 8th and 9th, the MilVets conference in San Francisco. You and I were there last year. I thought it was outstanding. Did you have some takeaways from last year? And are there some things that you're looking forward to as we go back out there in a few weeks?
Yeah, that was you were right. I thought that was a phenomenal conference, by far the best one on the West Coast for what we do, you and I do. I think for the entire year. So we're pretty stoked about it. I was I was fortunate enough to be on one of the panels for the emerging manager side of the house, and we just had a great time. Lessons learned on it was you got to get out from behind your desk, and you've got to go out and you got to meet people, and you got to pound the pavement if you really want to energize, your work, your opportunities for generating, much more activity and revenue for your companies. We saw some outstanding companies there in all stages. Doesn't matter if they were, multi-million dollar companies or if they were first starting out. You see everything there. So I love that conference. I'm excited. I'm so, Tim just and the folks at Context Ventures, they do a phenomenal job in bringing together our ecosystem. I mean, they're going to be busting at the seams this year. I heard it's even bigger, and it was pretty tight fit last
Pretty
year.
good
Remember?
last year. Yeah.
So I'm guessing this might be the last year they can do it in the club there, because they're going to have to go to an auditorium before too much longer. It's getting so well known, and it's rightfully so. It's just a really great time to meet peers, to meet mentors, and to meet people that are doing some great things both in the public sector and the private sector, and a chance to meet opportunities for access to capital. If you're a small business, or if you're even an investment firm like ours, it's got something for everybody.
I just feel privileged, to get to work in the industry we work in. I mean, just from the start, is there's the speed of trust in our community. There's it's just a bunch of outstanding people and so forth. If you were sitting on the panel right now and talking about, somebody raised their hand and said, what are you seeing in 2024? You get out your crystal ball. Are there any trends or anything like that that would really come to mind immediately?
I gotta tell you, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that we continue to get better every year from the pandemic, right? And although we took a step back a little bit in 2023, I'd still say it was better than prior years. It's just a little bit of a new normal, if you will, with the interest rates. And I think the interest rates have normalized. I'm not sure we'll see a cut in 2024, but I am part of the camp that thinks that their interest rate hikes are done. And when people kind of level off there and normalize that, then I think that some of the issues that we've seen over the last 18 months of contracting capital and really challenging opportunities to grow your business, I see that changing in 2024, despite the uncertainty of the elections and things like that are going on. So to answer your question, I think it's going to be better than 2023, and probably better than most people think. At least that's my opinion. Well, how about
So
you?
this
What
is
do you think?
from the perspective of an investor looking at deals. How about from the standpoint of the mentality of the entrepreneur? What kinds of things should entrepreneurs be careful not to get tripped up on? For instance, in my experience, a lot of people that kind of wish they sold their company in 2021, right? Uh, the things have changed. The cost of capital is entirely different now, right? So if you had to give advice to somebody who's a young entrepreneur walking into the MilVets conference, what are the two or three things that you might say to them about this meeting, how to take advantage of it?
Well, so point number one, if I was to pick something, I would say, um, just don't be tied to the valuations of old. Okay, there's tremendous, I guess, people are, like you said, back in 2020, 2021, those valuations are no longer around, and I don't think they're coming back anytime soon. And people, especially the young entrepreneurs, saw what happened there, and they don't realize the cyclicality of valuations and how they are in a downward spiral right now. So my advice is generate a great business. Okay, do a great business, make money, focus on revenue and traction, and don't focus on your valuation. That will come. So what does that mean in practical? That means, one, if you can hold off on a valued round, if you will, um, do convertible notes and put off the
Kick that
actual
can down the
valuation.
road a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Or if you're gonna find someone who's gonna be a lead, then accept their valuation because it's not gonna be what you want, right? And so if you're if you think you're gonna have a real problem, I got to tell you, a company with $1 million revenue looking at a 70 or $80 million pre-money valuation, raising 5 or 6 million, that might have worked in 2020, 2021. It does not work today. And there's no, you won't get capital on that. And so just be aware of that and read all of those articles and, analysis that says that you got to be focusing on revenue now as opposed to anything else. And that's what I've been reading anyway.
My plan, I'm trying to line up as many meetings with people in advance of this conference. I'm reaching out to as many folks as I can to make sure, hey, we catch up while we're there. I love being in the same room with all the guys. I mean, it's just uh, a great opportunity. But the
Yeah,
other
I
thing,
sure I
and,
sure
and
hope I hope I'm on your list.
you're on the A list there, Derren, and you know, uh, but the thing that I don't know, you and I are a little bit more seasoned than a lot of the people that are in the room. But I've got to tell you, I've got great confidence in this country when I see some of the young people that are at this conference as well. It's not a bunch of old gray-haired folks like me that are long in tooth. There's a lot of really interesting ideas, and I have great faith in this country when I see these young veterans doing what they're doing. So
Totally agree with
just
you. I mean, that's why you and I share the same passion. We love what we do. I love seeing the innovation that the veterans bring to the table. They have the ability to pivot. They have the ability to use that mindset that they had while they were serving. That no matter what, we're going to get the mission done. It's all about execution, right? And having that same mindset into the business realm, that you don't see that in the large prime contractors and the people that are big businesses. They're great, and they're great exit partners for some of our companies. But as far as innovation, that occurs at the small business level of where you and I both play. And I think that's you're right. That's why we go to these conferences. I get energized seeing what's going on, and it makes me excited to go out and promote them. Gather up investors to come invest with us because we're taking those companies, and we're going to take them to the next level. And so I think it's a opportune time that this conference is a great stepping off point for the new year.
and we're going to put ways for you to contact Derren in the show notes and attached to all of this. But Derren, I'll give you the opportunity real quick before we close, kind of give a shout out, tell people how to get in touch with you and how to get in touch with Veteran Ventures Capital.
Yeah, so our website's easy. It's veteranventures.us. And that's the easiest way to find out a little bit more about us. please connect with me on LinkedIn. We live on LinkedIn, and we have the other social medias, but we focus on the LinkedIn side of the house. So happy to connect with anybody. And heck, if you tell them that you've found us on Veteran Crowd, we would be more than happy to put you to the front of the line. So super excited if anybody that listens in on the mission oriented podcast.
Thanks so much. Hey, you've been listening to the Mission Oriented podcast on the Veteran Crowd Network. My guest today has been Derren Burrell, the founder of Veteran Ventures Capital. Again, Derren, thank you for doing this. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in early February out in San Francisco. You and I will share a cocktail together, perhaps, and catch up on some good stories. Me being a VMI grad and Citadel grad, I have a great deal of mutual respect for my Bulldog friend here. So anyway, awesome. And with that, I'll give a big shout out to Derren and the Citadel Bulldogs, and a bravo Zulu to you today for being a guest on the program.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate the opportunity. And yes, you got the silver Shako. We won it back this year, so we're excited about that as well.
Yeah, said uneasy rest the crown. Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much, Derren. I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Hey, you've been listening to the Mission Oriented podcast on the Veteran Crowd Network. Again, thanks so much for joining us, and that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Mission Oriented. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and you won't miss an episode. To learn more about Mission Oriented and the Veteran Crowd Network, visit us at www.veterancrowdnetwork.com.